Rob, what do you think of my new glasses frames?
I think you're looking sexy as fuck.
Dude,
They're Prada.
Are they
why
actually?
did you say that? There's gonna be a secret. Shout out at Dad's work computer when you looked up boobs on it in middle school.
That's a classic story. That's a good one. Just boo.
Just a boob.
I was curious. I don't know what you want from me.
I had heard the tales and I wanted to confirm if they were
Yeah,
true.
yeah, oh yeah. I didn't know about it till years later. I didn't know what actually happened, but
Boobs.
yeah,
That's what
boobs.
That's some boobs.
Well, we're back. Like we
Underwhelming.
never left.
You're like this.
As
We,
Cam
Yeah,
Newton
no-
said, we're back, or I'm back.
November 18th was the last pod when it
Okay.
released.
But we're hoping
That
to
was-
last a little longer than Cam Newton's return, though, right?
Yo,
Like,
that game against the Cardinals was electric, though. I will never forget that moment.
People actually were coping that Cam was back. Anyways,
I'm right here, man. I'm right here. People.
Me.
funny. I'm him.
I am him.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome back to a long overdue rendition of the Bros and the Berg podcast. Today is January 10th as we are recording this. I think the last time we posted was back in mid-November, pre-Thanksgiving. So if you are a loyal and loving fan joining us again after an almost 2-month hiatus with us getting our shit together with the general with the general holiday season and with our busy lives, we do greatly appreciate wherever you get your podcast, Google, Spotify, watching us on YouTube to see our pretty faces.
We love our loyal listeners, and we appreciate you coming back to us after our hiatus.
There are dozens of us.
Dozens.
Yeah.
So thank you. Whenever you watch this podcast, I think it might be just a Bros rendition of the podcast next week, as Mr. Bergstone will be out of town, but we're going to try to stay on a more consistent schedule here in 2023. But
that's our New Year's resolution for the pod, is to
yes.
I mean,
be
honestly,
more
like,
consistent with the pod.
we were relatively consistent last year. It was just we ended up taking really big gaps in between whenever we did take gaps.
Yeah.
We took like month gaps.
But also didn't help, like, Ryan and I, like, moving around jobs.
Yeah,
and
of course.
You have college stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're
Well,
busy
that's silly,
people.
yeah.
We're very important people, you know? We got stuff going on.
I will
Society
say,
wants a lot from us. We're just top 5% men.
I will say, in about a month, it is about going to be the year anniversary of when we started the pod. In a little over a month, probably. So.
It's
I was
somehow
alone.
gotten worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
We got a jam-packed episode for us
Always.
today. An absolute banger, one might say.
Well,
And
We're going to kick it off with not so much of a banger of a football game. The
someone was
Georgia
getting banged.
Bulldogs.
so-
Yeah, not in a good way.
No.
The Georgia Bulldogs took down the TCU Horned Frogs,
That's true.
65-7.
I
Got to
think
be
the
one of the
overhit.
worst college football games ever.
I think
like-
I think Georgia covered.
Georgia hit the over by
Georgia
themselves. It
covered.
was 63.5. Yeah, the over-under was 63.5.
With,
Georgia hit it by themselves.
With minimal help from TCU, I mean,
It was the biggest blowout in any bowl game ever. Like,
that's
you're like
crazy.
Gator
Yeah.
Bowl, like the Cheez-It Bowl, the famous potato bowl. No, this was the biggest blowout in a bowl game of all time.
Yeah, even Alabama teabagging Notre Dame's dead corpse didn't hold a candle to the
were just talking about
atrocities we witnessed. So
I mean, hey, LSU tried to beat it. LSU beat Purdue 63-7, so they almost had them, but
not
that
a
was
natty.
good. Yeah, not in a natty.
Not even close.
This game made me hate Stetson Bennett more, which I wasn't sure was
Dude.
possible.
Dude.
But he's
a
so
fucking
cocky for what he actually does for that team. But props to him. 2 national championships in a row. I guess you can't hate on him too much.
That's the Bama
I'm
hate
gonna-
coming through a little
I'm
bit.
gonna pull out my instigator badge, Robbie. What for what he does for the team? What do you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, I think you could
winning?
Dude, anyone could win. Dude, you put me a quarterback for Georgia, I'd win. I swear.
Yeah,
no,
You'd win a game, yeah.
I probably would.
Be Vanderbilt.
But I mean, he is what he is. He's 25 years old. He's gonna be a used car salesman in like 3 months, and he gets the job done. That's what we'll say about it.
I will also say I saw a stat the other day, or it wasn't a stat, but I guess just a funny comparison. I read it to Dad while the game was going on. Stetson Bennett is the same age as Lamar Jackson.
Correct.
Yeah, and he looks like an above ground pool salesman.
He's older than Ryan and I.
He's some sort of salesman.
Yeah, because he's selling bullshit that he's going to be an NFL quarterback.
I think he could be a good Chase Daniel type backup quarterback. I'll give him that.
No, Chase Daniel's like really smart though.
I saw an ESPN tweet of him like hitting, I don't know, one of his receivers like downfield on the left side for like 45 yards. And it's one of the captions was, how many NFL quarterbacks could do that? And I'm like, there wasn't a TCU defender within 20 yards of that, man. What do you mean? Every single dude in the NFL is going to do that.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing was after Ohio State hit like the worst shanked field goal of all time, that he's like flexing on the sidelines. It's like, dude, I mean, if that kicker doesn't just completely shank one, like you lose that game, and you're over here like flexing on the side. Granted, they put up 48 points, but still, it was like, come on now.
I mean, I think we can point to Ryan texted it in the family group chat. Obviously, it's not a great look for the Big 12. The fact that not the Big 12 champs, mind you, but the team that was undefeated in the regular season, coming out and winning against Michigan, which was I think a shock to pretty much everybody, but still losing to Georgia in this kind of fashion. I mean, it's hard to say that the Big 12 is even close to on par in terms of with the SEC or even Big 10. I mean, I guess Michigan, but like, I don't know. It's kind of upsetting, frustrating for the Big 12, obviously.
But I think that last night was absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I think you play that game 50 more times, there's no way TCU gets blown out like that again.
No, and obviously, like you saw the talent disparity between the two teams.
Yes.
And, like we knew that coming,
and the
like,
size,
and the size. But like it was one of those things. Georgia pitched a perfect game,
yes.
And TCU's whatever their game plan was awful. I don't know. I don't really know what it was, to be honest with you. But whatever they game planned for was not the correct thing. I did see a couple of things.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
I was gonna say I saw that apparently the Georgia offense ran a couple formations they didn't run all year. Yeah. Like they just busted out things that they hadn't ran at all. And I mean,
that's very Kirby smart. That's even that's very Saban too.
It is. And so I think it's one of those things. Just bad game plan. Everything went Georgia's way. The TCU didn't get those bounces they got against Michigan.
Dugan started trying to force stuff too, like way too early in the game. Like some of those like picks that was fucking like 10 yards over the receiver that the Georgia safety picked. Like that is when I knew the game was over. Like personally, and I don't know, what was that, like the second quarter?
But even regardless of that, he was just having a bad game in general. Like he was just already having a bad game, and then he just trying to force the issue. And
TCU could have executed their game plan perfectly, and even then, it probably wasn't going to be enough to win. Right? That's just a talent disparity that we were going to see in this game.
I don't think there's a team in college football that could have beaten Georgia the way they played last night.
No.
Like there was not a team even close. Like I don't know if they played like they did last night. I'm not sure anyone keeps it within 2 scores.
There's only a few teams that I've seen do that. Like when we played Clemson and got our ass whooped by 30 in the Natty. Again, that was another one of those games where no one's beating Clemson that night. I don't care who it is. Like there's some teams just have those games. So hats off to Georgia, right? I mean, back to back.
One of the few.
The road to the championship. Does it now go through Athens? It was gone through Tuscaloosa for the past 10 years.
Well, Rob, you said you looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of talk. This is another reason we shouldn't have the 12-team playoff. And granted, the game last night is not anything anyone wants to watch on television, but like think about the semifinal games. They look like the New Year's Six games. Like they were all really good games.
Yeah.
I think like people want to say there's going to be blowouts. Well, like of course there are. Like there are blowouts in college basketball every year, and I still tune in to watch March Madness. Like you're going to get those blowouts, but like you get to see more of these like TCU stories. I mean, still hats off to TCU. They went from 5-7 in the national championship game. I mean, that's the type of things that you love to see.
200 to 1 long shot odds. Like that's as much of a Cinderella story, especially in college football, which has lacked parity over the last decade as you can get.
Yeah. And I said last night in our group chat that like Georgia was so inconsistent this year. I don't know if they would have won 3 games in a 12-team playoff.
Not the
because
same
they were
Georgia that beat Kent State by like a touchdown.
right or almost lost on the road at Missouri. Like I
Yeah.
think the 3 games makes it difficult. Like you have to be on it for 3 straight games, which when you're playing top 12 teams is difficult. And I think you see a different outcome every time in that, which I think
Yeah.
is something that is being taken for granted for in this 12 team system that is kept coming here in a couple of years.
That's a great take, Bergstone. Just want to let
Thank
you know that.
TCU
Love
also unranked before the season even started. I mean, there was TCU. Hats off to them. Like we said before, first year coach. Hats off to Max Duggan, who wasn't even the starter coming into this season, and ended up being a Heisman finalist and taking his team to the championship. So I mean, mad props to TCU. Obviously, they were just a little outmatched last night. I mean, and God, I know Robbie, you said you watched a little bit of it, but Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, is ridiculous. He is gonna be, I think, a stud in the NFL. I've never heard commentators call tight ends 6'7" as much as I have this year. Like I've heard the height 6'7" more than I ever have before in football.
And their backup tight end is Washington, who's
it's
also
like 6'5".
nuts. Like
yeah,
yeah,
he's
and
huge.
he runs like a 4.4, like way
Yeah.
too big to be running that fast. But
Well, yeah, you said that the biggest thing about the matchups, and the commentators were actually mentioning it last night, where they were saying that the biggest thing with Georgia is like they have their 6'4", 6'5" guys on the D line, and then they're rotating in the second and third team guys like every single play, and the TCU O line is the same O line for the entire game.
Right.
And then they get a new matchup, and so obviously there are different strengths and different weaknesses, and they're getting tired because it's a new guy. It's just Georgia has that, like you said, it's a talent disparity where Georgia has so much talent that they're able to replace those guys, whether it be on the line or in the secondary, and it's just disparity.
Yeah. And it was one of those things. I think there's like a third 15 in the second quarter, and like TCU rushed 3, and as soon as I saw them rush 3, I'm like, oh, that's a first down. Like they just don't have the secondary to keep up those receivers. But like, I don't know if it matters if you rush 6 because I don't think they're getting by that offensive line either. So you're in a lose-lose situation on defense as well.
And obviously, unfortunate for TCU to be missing their lead back, because obviously he was really, really good throughout the season, but wouldn't have made up a 58-point disparity.
No.
But I mean, as Ryan said, this college football season, just to kind of look at it holistically, kind of cool in the way that it was a parody. Obviously, TCU being in the playoff, but there were a lot of upsets this year. I mean, Tennessee started off looking like they might be the favorites, and then they kind of struggled down the line. Bowl season definitely left us some things that were interesting. Do you guys want? I'll read you some of the more interesting bowl games. Do you guys want to talk at all about the 45-20 victory Alabama over Kansas State?
Good showing. Glad to see Bryce and Will be sent off like that. I think we played better than even I expected. Like we came out slow and then kind of turned it on and it was over. So that was good to see. I think it's going to be weird, but I think Alabama is going to come into next season a little underrated, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But I think there's still enough talent there to compete for the SEC next year. And
there's just so many question marks. I think with you got to replace 2 dudes. They're going to go like potentially the top 5 of the draft. So
yeah,
it should be interesting. Hopefully we get a new offensive coordinator. Please.
Please. We're talking about the guy I want later, so I'll leave that for
excellent
later
time. I know we clowned Desmond Howard for his college football playoff picks. Rightfully so. I mean, a lot of that was to stir
Baylor,
up controversy.
Right? Yeah, it was Baylor, A&M, Pitt, and Michigan.
So he was 1 for 4. I also was 1 for 4. So I'd like to reset.
Did I even hit 1?
Commentary.
I don't think
I was also. 1 for 4.
Oh wait, no, I said Ohio State.
2 for 4. Ryan, we got Georgia and Ohio State.
No, I said Alabama.
Did you?
I thought we said.
I thought you said the same ones. I thought you all had the same ones.
Yeah, I thought you did. You did not say Georgia, you head ass. You said USC, Clemson, Ohio State, and Bama. We said the same.
Yeah, we were close on USC.
That would have been a good pick. That would have been a real.
We were close.
Hey, I will say about
about
Notre Dame started off rough, but they ended the year very well. From the 4th game onwards, they were good. So
much better,
yeah. And so some of the other interesting bowl games, probably the best one. I actually watched this one live, and honestly, because it was in Arlington, I kind of wish that I'd been there. Tulane and USC. Tulane winning 46-45 with one of the best comebacks. What was it, like the biggest comeback in bowl history, or one of the biggest comebacks in bowl history?
Yeah. I think
that
so.
game was so much fun to watch. It was I really tuned in, and obviously in the fourth quarter, Tulane's victory over USC 46-45. Tulane scoring 16 in the fourth quarter. I mean, that game. I don't know if y'all caught any of it, but it was just, you could just feel it in the air that Tulane was just going to win.
Baby.
No, it was awesome.
Also,
12-2
also,
season.
don't worry. USC is bringing back their defensive coordinator next year, so literally nothing will change. You saw how they played against Utah, and Tulane expect much more of that from them next year.
It's kind of like, obviously Utah's a pretty good team, but like to lose to them twice and in the fashion that they did in the Pac-12 championship is not great.
I've never seen worse tackling in like that level of football. They like put up some stat about how many tackles they missed, and it was just awful. Like they just could not wrap up and save their lives. But the thing is, Lincoln Riley had the same problems at Oklahoma, right? They could score with anyone, but when they needed a stop, but the same thing. It's in the Pac-12. Nothing has changed.
You're right.
I'd like to shout out the Music City Bowl real
Iowa
quick.
Put the hammer
knockdown, drag out fight between the Iowa Hawkeyes and their non-existent offense. And
he gets shut out by Iowa. Okay, as much crap as we talked about Iowa,
Kentucky gave up 2 pick sixes. Iowa only scored 1 offensive touchdown. There were 2 pick sixes because Iowa's defense is actually fucking crazy.
Yeah. As much as we talked crap about Iowa, they did finish 8-5, which is better than Oklahoma State.
Yeah, you want to talk about your game, Connor?
No, I don't want to talk about my game.
That game was so bad.
We got 2 new quarterbacks, though. Thank God.
I want to talk about the team you played, though.
Wisconsin.
That the air raid is coming to Wisconsin, the dairy raid, if you will. It's gonna be electric.
Not a fan of that.
You don't like the dairy raid? I'm a big fan of the dairy raid.
I'm just gonna not talk about the Oklahoma State game at all.
I'm trying to see
it was
how
fun
many
being in
points
Phoenix.
Iowa scored in the season.
I actually, Phoenix, when I was there, actually didn't there wasn't a ton of people there except obviously on game day. But the city was kind of empty. It was kind of a strange feeling. But I actually really liked it. Phoenix as a city, I honestly wouldn't mind living in Phoenix for a little bit if I had to. I don't know. I think I actually kind of like.
You gotta
Phoenix.
be there in July.
No, yes, obviously, but that is dry heat. We can deal with that.
I could have had a 7-hour layover there next week. I should have just done that. Could have hung out in the city for a little bit. Gone out in the town.
True. So the last bowl game I mentioned, Penn State, Utah, that game was chippy. I don't know if y'all caught any of it. The Rose Bowl, those guys were talking to each other after every single play. The refs were kind of stupid, not really getting involved. They should have gotten in there quickly and maybe thrown a flag on somebody, but it just kept going and going. Penn State beating Utah, so an even worse look for USC in retrospect. The Pac-12 champions losing to Penn State like that. Is there anything y'all wanted to mention about the the first round, the semifinals, the CFP semifinals, TCU, Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State?
Obviously semifinals we've had.
Both incredible games.
The national championship was Georgia, Ohio State. Everyone can agree on that. I feel bad for that kicker. Really bad.
That game ending right at midnight was nuts, though.
Did it? Actually, I didn't even know that.
They synced up the broadcast, literally as the kick misses, it hits midnight on the East Coast.
That's incredible.
Right as the kick misses. It was really cool.
Way to ring in the new year. Cope, Ohio State fans.
We paused it and then made everyone put their phones down and ran to another TV and watched the ball drop in the net or run back and watch it hit the kick. We paused it just in time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, not unfortunately, but so Georgia's gone back-to-back national champions. I have to read you what Georgia's 2023 schedule is next year. It's is so bad. A cakewalk, to say the least. So we might be expecting Georgia, back-to-back-to-back. But Georgia's 22.
What are the way too early odds on Georgia to repeat? I'm looking.
Georgia's 2023 schedule. First game, UT Martin. Second game is Ball State. Third game is South Carolina. Fourth game is UAB. These are all at home, by the way. Fifth game is at Auburn. Sixth game is Kentucky at Georgia. And then they're at Vanderbilt. Florida at home. Missouri at home. Ole Miss at home. Then they're at Tennessee and then at Georgia Tech. So the only maybe difficult game is Tennessee. They're at Knoxville. And even if they lose, they'll probably still get in because they'll probably win the SEC championship.
The only other spooky one is at Auburn. Odd year Auburn with a new coach could get a little weird, but I doubt it.
Dude, but come on, they've gone back-to-back champions, and you have.
I get the whole. Everybody's talking about how soft Alabama's schedule was. That's got to be worse than
that.
Any
Georgia's
schedule.
Is terrible. That's a terrible schedule. But I mean,
So on BetMGM, Georgia opened at a plus 300 favorite.
Feels
that's not that bad, actually.
Should have better odds.
Oh, you think so? I think that's
Plus
actually.
150.
Oh, really?
Ohio State
That's
plus
in-
600, Bama and USC at plus 700.
I don't. USC
And sneaking
stats
in at the
high.
bottom of the list is Colorado at plus 25,000. If you
We
want.
I'm
might
throwing a
have to
bet down.
on
Throwing a bet
Dion
down.
on
Might get
Dion's
a
first
second
year.
mortgage.
Dion's first year,
If
maybe.
Dion, I'm not even actually going to entertain that. Not even going to entertain that. We're not going to
Um,
waste time on the podcast for that.
But yeah, some college football headlines. Obviously, there's not many in the season. The unfortunate thing about this podcast is it's going to be one of the last ones where we can like talk about all the sports because it's kind of ramping down because the NFL obviously is going into playoff mode and Super Bowl. We're getting in kind of the difficult time of the sports year, kind of like when we started the podcast. But you know, we're gonna keep up the content for you guys as always. Some of the college football headlines: the Utah Utes star quarterback Cam Rising is to return for his senior year. So Utah will have their quarterback back, and I can't imagine that they'll be any worse. So I mean that's kind of interesting development.
I think there was a good bit around him, but he's a good player. They'll be fine.
Michigan All-American running back Blake Corum is returning for his senior year. Obviously, one of the biggest parts to Michigan, especially their run game. He got knee surgery. I know some people were probably wondering why he wouldn't go to the draft, and I think the biggest reason is because he got knee surgery and obviously wants to prove to the scouts that that's not going to affect him in any way. So he'll be back on the field next year.
Definitely could have changed that game, that semifinal game.
Oh, I agree.
He's a stud. So
Yeah, they said that his knee surgery wasn't he wasn't gonna heal in time to do any pre-draft stuff either.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna be relying on his tape, which was not gonna be enough.
Well, I mean, scouts always get finicky about surgeries and especially knees and stuff with running backs that close to the draft. So I'm sure that they didn't want to, they wanted to hedge their bets kind of. Hold on, I'm looking for what I had. So I'm basically, as we love college football so much, I wanted you guys to hear the too early top 25 right after the national championship because that ESPN just does that. So ESPN has published their too early top 25 college football rankings right after the national championship. Number one, we can just go through the top 10 real quick. Number one, Georgia Bulldogs. I don't think that's any surprise. I think that's
that
pretty
adds up.
accurate.
who's going to be their quarterback? Is it JT Daniels? Is he still there?
No, he's gone.
He's gone.
Okay.
I think
I
they
don't
have
keep
some. I assume they have some
Carson,
five-star just
sophomore
sitting in the
Carson
wings.
Beck will be the top contender to replace Bennett. Yeah. So that guy, I guess. Number two, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
That probably makes sense.
Without Stroud, but
That's a good point. That is a very good point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, still, Ohio State's always going to be up there. Number three, Michigan Wolverines.
I would
Feels
actually I would flip-flop them. They're returning a bunch.
Yeah, and Corum's coming back too. The
Yeah.
Michigan.
Hey, they're
could be
keeping
really
their
good.
quarterback. So
Oh, by the way, sorry, you mentioned Auburn. Sorry, just a quick side. You mentioned Auburn earlier. I didn't even realize this a few days ago. Spencer Sanders, Oklahoma State quarterback, is going to Auburn. I did not know that.
no shot. Is
Yeah,
he going to
is.
start?
Probably. I'd be shocked if he didn't. I didn't think Auburn
you
had a
saw
great
you saw
quarterback.
where DJU was going from Clemson.
Where's he going? Oh, Oregon State.
Oregon
right?
State.
Yeah. Dude, that's why
The
people were
bees.
confused. They were. I swear to God. I think that's why people were confused. Is because apparently Oklahoma State people thought was in contention, and I think they legitimately just mixed up the acronym. It was like OSU, and so they thought it was some. I don't
The
know.
orange and black OSU.
Yeah,
forehead.
exactly. Yeah.
Figure it out.
At number four, this one comes in a little bit of a surprise, but they were much better this year than they have been in years prior. Florida State. ESPN has them at number 4.
Yeah. Any because the ACC is so down, like because Florida State actually showed signs of life, and whenever Florida State is good, like they're really good. Like they're returning 7 on offense, 9 on defense, so they and a 10-3 record, so they'll be pretty stout.
And apparently,
I think that's also they have to put someone up there to like get a headline. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
I do think Florida State will be good next year, but I think that's a part of.
I think
the
Florida State
headline.
probably wins the ACC.
Yeah, I do too. Based on
especially
what we've
with-
seen from Klubnik from Clemson, he hasn't really
Yep.
been overly impressive.
Yep.
number 5, Alabama Crimson Tide.
I think it's a
Alabama's
fair
always
ranking.
Yeah, of course. But who's going to be your quarterback? It can't be that kid.
Milrow.
He's not good for Alabama standards. He's not good.
No, he's not.
It's just he doesn't
He's
look
a
good
freak
throwing
athlete.
the ball.
He is built like an actual 18 wheeler. The dude is jacked out of his gills.
But he looks
But
uncomfortable like throwing.
He looks somehow worse than like freshman Jalen throwing the ball.
Yeah, he does.
No, he does.
Which is
100%.
hard to say.
Hey, don't despair.
But if we get someone other than Bill O'Brien in there, could they turn around a little bit? No, maybe actually like make the system fit him and not make him try to be Bryce Young. That might help out a little bit too.
It's the Chicago Bears method. Number 6, the Penn State Nittany Lions.
That seems high for 3 Big
I'd
Ten
probably
teams
agree
in
with
the
that.
top 6, but you
know where Michigan has to play next year though?
Penn State.
In the whiteout.
Oh, that's pretty sick. Those games are always. Do you remember? I don't remember what year it was, but it was years ago. You'll probably know exactly what I'm talking about. There was this whiteout game, and then the noise was so loud that like nobody could hear anything in the stadium, and so they had to like all go like the silent count the entire game. It was incredible. I remember how loud that game was. I think it might have been against. Who was it again? It might have been Michigan. But number 7, we have the USC Trojans.
Yeah, that feels right. Caleb Williams will drag them to a top 10 finish at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 8, we have the LSU Tigers. I'm going to say that's a little high. I feel like that's a little bit high.
Brian Kelly exceeded expectations this year, though, I think.
I don't have anybody else I would put there, though. So while I love to pile on LSU and say they're trash, I will begrudgingly give them that.
Number 9, the Oregon Ducks.
Bo Nix is back.
Bo Nix is back.
Bo is back.
He never left.
He literally never left.
Like Geno Smith, man, he never
Heisman next year. Bo Nix Heisman next year. Anymore?
I think he could be up decent there. Odds.
I bet he does.
I bet he's got top 5 odds.
100%. Well, it's Who's coming back? It's probably Nix is probably up there. Number 10, the last rounding out the top 10, the Tennessee Volunteers. So no signs of the Big 12. What the hell?
One ACC team.
Yeah, one ACC team. Very true. And it'll be interesting. Wait, because this is the year obviously where the Big 12 is going to get the 4 new teams, and so that will be very interesting to see how the Big 12 pans out. If you don't remember, those teams are UCF, BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati. So it'll be interesting to see how the Big 12 works with the 4 new additions.
Basketball is going to be nasty.
That's Big 12 basketball is going to be actually disgusting. That's very true. Houston and Kansas, that's gonna be Baylor and Texas are both good. It's a really good conglomeration collection.
That's a great word. That's a
great
word.
I'm just
college education paying off.
It's the product glasses, man.
Jesus Christ.
Oh Lord!
I don't want to continue.
Moving over to the NFL.
I have to go to bed.
Moving over to the NFL, the Washington Commanders have fired their offensive coordinator. I don't think that.
Who was it?
Why not the head coach? JK.
Hey,
Ron, we love you.
We love Ron. We are a Ron podcast.
I had the name. I don't know why I didn't copy.
Don't forget. Actually, I was reading about this the other day. So, Sean McDermott is the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, has done very well since he's been in Buffalo. He was on the Panthers staff prior to that hire, and we let him go to the Buffalo Bills because we wanted to keep Ron Rivera, which was fair because we won 15-1 and made the Super Bowl. But also, it's Ron Rivera. Like most of the time, you're going to get like 9 and 8 and call it a day.
There's a reason why he's called Riverboat Ron.
The man does have some cojones. That is for sure.
Some gonads.
His name is Scott Turner. That was the offensive coordinator for the Commanders. So there you go. By the way, some other it's not really
Omega lol.
Not really super breaking news, but a little bit of breaking news. College football, real quick. South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler announces his return for the 2023 season. So there's another headline for you.
The Cox are hard.
The Cox were spooky at the end of this year, man.
The Cox will penetrate the top 25.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
see, now it's just getting... now it's just craft.
Cox by 90. Cock Commander.
Good Lord.
What South Carolina kids say.
Of course it is. They're college kids. What do you mean?
You can get t-shirts that just say Cox on them. Like they sell those at the university.
Oh, I'm not
just says Cox.
Go Cox.
Advancing on in the NFL, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy's job is not at stake, according to Jerry. Apparently, there were some rumblings about that. Well, he went 12-4 or 12-5.
Yeah, and another first-round exit upcoming to Tom Brady. What do you mean?
I'm a quote Patrick Bateman. Why not, you stupid bastard?
I mean, Did we watch the same game last week? Like, they
Dude,
looked
that
bad.
was
They got beat by
terrible.
Sam Howell, which
he's about that. Sam Howell is him. I don't know.
Unrelated to the fact that he's on my fantasy team in
But
our
he's
dynasty
him.
league, but I think Sam Howell is him.
Yeah.
Ignoring the defensive woes, right? The Commanders might have just had a good game on offense. They have some decent talent. Obviously, the quarterbacks have been like a fucking carousel this entire year, but like the rest of the skill positions are young and actually decent. What was the Cowboys' offense?
That was like Dak's worst game ever.
Doing?
That was
The
legitimately
Commanders'
Dak.
D line is elite.
I get
No,
that. but
actually,
It's nasty.
they didn't have Jonathan Allen.
Yes. Stop
Is
screaming.
Chase Young back? Did he end up coming back?
I'm sorry.
Chase Young is back,
McCarthy
right?
gets me pressed.
Yeah, Connor, you know when
Chase
I was
Young's
bugging you all week to pick up a player in our dynasty league, it was Sam Howell. The
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
time.
that-
That was who I was
was
bugging
that-
you about the
Was that
entire
worth
time.
it? Was that worth
Yeah, dude,
it?
did you see that throw to Terry down the sideline? Oh my god, that was a
Well,
dime.
I don't know if y'all saw, but on the broadcast, they showed that Dak, that was his worst completion percentage in any game of his career. It was like 38.6% or whatever.
He looked like a bumbling fool.
He looks
I would-
terrible. Like
Cooper
actually,
Rush. Give me
Yeah,
Cooper Rush.
they did. They
versus
put him in at
Brady.
the end.
You guys still have Ben DiNucci laying around somewhere?
No.
Dude, I wish.
Laying around.
We need to bring in who was the other one that got oh my god, what was his name? Trace. What was his name?
Trace McSorley?
Yes, Trace
The old-
McSorley.
Ah.
That was
Yeah.
the guy. Yeah.
Y'all should just throw Kellen Mond out there, honestly. Like at this point.
Oh, Jerry's son out there. See how he does. He probably would, to be honest.
Throw Jerry out there.
We're gonna lose to the fucking Bucks.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. That's
God
definitely-
Just
almighty.
think if the Panthers had won the division, we could have had a Panthers Cowboys
Dude.
first round matchup, dude.
And we
If
would've-
the Panthers
I-
just not
I wanna
choked
say
one
something,
game.
but it's not PC, so I'm gonna reserve that for off air.
Ryan, we'd be road tripping to. I would be in Charlotte this week. We'd be road tripping
yeah,
to Charlotte for the game, 100%.
Y'all would go.
Got the Monday night game.
It would not be Monday night if it was in Charlotte. No chance.
That would be the Sunday noon kick.
Maybe the Saturday noon kick. Just get that one out of the way ahead of time.
Yeah, but it's the boys though. It's the boys. You got a lot of eyes that
boys.
tune in for the boys.
We done boys.
America's team. Moving on in the NFL, some extremely happy news. Damar Hamlin, he has been released from the Cincinnati hospital, not from the hospital completely. He's being transferred over to the Buffalo hospital, but obviously he's awake. He's communicating. Everything is obviously that is incredible news for Damar Hamlin and obviously the Buffalo Bills. And so yeah, I mean, one of the scariest things I've ever witnessed, and I think most people have ever witnessed in terms of a live event. Huge props. Doctors say that the only reason that he made it out alive was because of the Buffalo Bills staff. So huge props to the medical team at Buffalo, and obviously the doctors and stuff that did the CPR and obviously getting over to the hospital. Kind of a miracle. It's pretty incredible. But I read that headline to my dad. I said Damar Hamlin was released or whatever, and my dad was like, from the Bills, and I was like, imagine that would be the worst.
No, I
headline.
mean he's on IR, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there was a story that was coming out because obviously, like when you get moved to IR, a lot of the times in players' contracts, like they're paid less, and so
But,
people were
imagine.
bitching at the Bills.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, the Bills are working out something that's like
Yeah.
not going to be that big of a deal. Relax, you virtue signalers.
Also, big shout out to Ryan Clark as well. Ryan and I talked
I
about
was
this
gonna
after
do
the
it.
game.
Fuck.
Oh, go ahead. I wanna show you
no, keep going.
Yeah, obviously very sad thing happening on the field. All of the ESPN crew was in an incredibly tough spot, and Ryan Clark after the game with Scott Van Pelt really laid it all out there and really gave some really good insight, and I thought did by far the best job of any of those guys of really laying out what DeMar was going through and what it meant to the teams too, and how they were feeling. Even though he wasn't in the locker room, he could relate to it and actually tell us what was going on.
I mean, Clark's been in a position like that when he's been hospitalized. So I mean, I think he was really able, like you said, to put it in perspective. And I think ESPN as a whole acted all their anchors and everything acted very candidly, and I think they acted really appropriately and just showed that they were humans instead of the whole Walt Disney sports organization that everyone paints them to be.
And people were upset that they didn't switch away from the game because obviously nothing was going on. You just had the broadcasters sitting there I don't even know what to say because there was nothing to say. There was nothing that you could say that was going to make it better. But I read that they couldn't switch away because their contract with the NFL, they were not legally allowed to turn the game off until it was canceled. So they were
Right.
just kind of stuck in just an awful situation all around.
Yeah, dude, it was so like there was so many TikToks like commercials about being like, can we please turn off the Burger King Whopper commercial after like Damar Hamlin's? It's like, what are we doing? It's a burger, why? It's like, stop.
Junior,
It's just
triple
not,
Whopper.
it just doesn't feel appropriate.
I want a cheeseburger so bad right now. That would go. Stupid.
Not burger.
My man hitting Wendy's on the way into the plant tonight.
No, I'm healthy.
Hey,
Continuing on with NFL headlines, let's see where I am. I seem to have lost it. The Titans have fired 4 assistants, including their offensive coordinator Todd Downing. I mean, this kind of signals to me that the Titans are kind of just trying to turn it around in whatever way they can.
It was a shit show at the end of the year. I mean,
is Dobbs starting over Willis next year?
Good question. It's a good question.
Hey, he looked a lot better than Willis did, which wasn't saying much, but like,
how hot is Vrabel's seat?
probably not that hot. They were the number 1 seed a year ago.
I still don't know how that happened. I think it's because they played in a really weak division.
And the division's getting a lot better. Well, one team is getting better. The 2 are still very bad, but
Yeah, the other 2 had a shit slinging contest on Sunday.
Great
game though.
Yeah. And then continuing on, probably the biggest news in terms of coach hirings and firings, the Cardinals on Monday fired Cliff Kingsbury 10 months after signing him to a contract extension through the 2027 season. And the team also announced that general manager Steve Keim has decided to step away from his position in order to focus on his health.
that happened a couple weeks ago. The GM stepping down, I think.
Well, it was during a news conference Monday, so I don't think you're correct.
Maybe not.
It might have been. There were probably rumors and stuff that were like he was probably going to, and then it was just official.
I'm just gonna be quiet for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
I think once you say one right, like and correctly like wrong thing,
Yeah, no, fuck you. Yeah.
For future Bama OC, Cliff Kingsbury.
I think he's gonna stay in the pros.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna go to college. I don't think he's gonna go to college.
Program.
So hard.
Yeah,
Why? He's so much better in college than he was in the NFL. His system fits college way better.
I think the 2027 extension was way too long, and I think the 10-month after firing is way too immediate. I guess there probably was some disagreements between Kyler and him. I'm just.
But that's the other thing is they didn't have Kyler for most of the year, so like it's kind of hard to pin that on him when you don't have your franchise quarterback. You just paid how much money?
I really think this is probably a not seen or not very like visible culture issue. I'm guessing the culture in Arizona is a lot worse than what we think. And
I think it's just that Kingsbury is not very good at Warzone, and Kyler couldn't have that. He's got to have good guys in his squad.
His squad has got to be A1.
We have sub 1 KD goobers running the organization.
Absolutely not.
The hell is this?
But yeah, it's just kind of an interesting development. He apparently was the 3rd most winning coach in Cardinals history, which is kind of not great given that he had 1 playoff berth in 4 seasons. But it's just like I said, kind of an interesting development. Obviously, the Cardinals are much worse than people expected them to be this year. And I think there are obviously concerns. D-Hop is obviously old. I mean, James Conner's old.
They're trading away D-Hop.
Buda Baker's old. But like all these guys are just getting older.
There's a rumor today that they're trying to trade away D-Hop, and that the owner has like made it clear to whatever GM they bring in that they're going to trade away D-Hop.
Where's D-Hop going? Where do you think?
The Texans.
The Panthers.
Texans.
Dude, D-Hop,
bring him home,
you
man.
would get a
Bring
jersey,
D-Hop
man.
home.
D-Hop jersey.
He's so good.
He is actually ridiculous.
People still disrespect him.
No, he's crazy. I mean,
so.
Is he still top 5? Probably not quite.
No,
he's close.
Probably not quite.
He's top
10.
He has flashes. I think like his instincts are top 5.
Yes,
for sure. But I think
top 5 jump ball too. In terms of like jump balls, definitely top 5.
Not in order, but I'm thinking Jefferson, Kupp, Devontae, Tyreek. Who's 5? Who's
Chase?
The 5th? Yeah, probably Jamar. But he's like right on the edge there. I'd argue.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right
Amon
there.
Ross St. Brown.
Oh.
That was a joke. That was a joke. Please don't come for me. That was a joke.
Moving on. Lovie Smith has been fired as the Texans head coach.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think the Texans did love you real dirty on that one. I think you give him a gutted roster in terms of talent, and you gave him a year to try to turn it around, and
Yeah.
you're shocked when he can't. That
Bears sleeper
organization,
agent. Lovie Smith.
that organization is ass.
But talk about getting dealt a crap
travesty.
hand. I mean, from the
That's what I'm
Deshaun Watson,
saying.
from the Deshaun Watson stuff to, I mean, it's just
They also played like very well the end of the year. Like all of their games, like the last 5 games were close. Like they almost beat the Cowboys.
Damian
They
Pierce is
almost
him.
beat. Yeah,
Damian
Pierce
Pierce
is
is
nasty.
He's gross.
Really
Why were so many of the running back like Brees Hall, Damian Pierce, and there was another kid that was crazy, like the rookie that were
Algier went for over 1,000 yards this
No,
year.
I mean there were a lot of really good
Falcons.
rookie running backs.
This year, Bijan's going to come out and be fucking awful.
I am
That's just how this is
no,
gonna go.
no. I'm
your
praying
your
that he takes him in
1-1 is going to be
Dynasty.
looking real nice, Ryan.
No, is that yours? Wait, whose pick is that?
It's
ABs.
I got fucking beat out. By
You have the
kid
second pick?
playing. Yes.
Damn it, you're gonna take Bijan. I wanted him so
can I-
bad.
Can you tell AB to look at his sleeper because I have trades like in right now that I need him to look
In
at.
the queue.
Yeah, they're already sent over. He just needs to review them at his earliest convenience.
As early as convenient. Moving to the next headline. With the Texans' win at the end of the season, the Chicago Bears have clinched the #1 overall pick in the draft. Obviously, not taking a quarterback because Justin Fields obviously played pretty damn well towards the back half of the season with his rushing ability.
I just don't know why you don't. Think about the hauls you got for like when the Rams got Goff and when the Redskins got RG3. Like you can get a freaking haul for trading back if someone really wants a quarterback. And Bryce Young is going to be wanted by someone
and
enough
people
to give
do.
up way too much.
Yep.
It's going to be the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be the fucking Panthers. Which actually I wouldn't be that upset, but it's going to be the Panthers.
Do you remember when we did the live stream draft reaction last year and like every time they panned to Malik Willis, it was like Robbie, it's your quarterback. Robbie, it's your, and they took a guard. And you're like, thank God they took an O lineman.
And I was right.
Yeah, you were
give
happy.
me that take because I was right about Malik Willis. He sucks.
Yeah, he's not great. But yeah, who do we? So we definitely think that. Do we think that's the most likely scenario that the Bears trade back?
I don't know because it's the fucking Bears and they are boneheads. They did the trade for the with the Niners or whatever when they gave up an arm and a leg to get Trubisky.
They also gave up the 32nd pick in this year's draft for Chase Claypool.
That was crazy. I don't know if we can trust the Bears at all. They're probably going to take
I'm saying
they're going to take Bryce Young and just pit them up against each other just for fun.
They're going to take Bijan.
That would be wild.
Bryce Young versus Justin Fields. Actually, yeah, but you still have Monty and Herbert who are like fine.
I know. I'm just saying they would because they're stupid.
Yeah. I think it depends on how much they like Will Anderson because obviously they gutted their defense this year, like when they were tanking and traded away all of their defense. So it's like you need to rebuild your defense. If you're in love with Will Anderson at #1, you probably stay and take him.
Yeah.
But if you're not and you think you can trade back and maybe still get him later, get him or Carter from Georgia, then maybe you trade back.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on to obviously we have to talk about it. The NFL playoff picture is officially set. We're gonna go through each game and kind of talk about who we think is gonna win, basically. So starting off with the
picks.
Yeah,
these are our picks.
Yeah, these are the picks. Yeah.
It says predictions. Robbie, read your script.
Robbie, read the script. Say the line, Bart.
Say the line, Bart.
So obviously in the NFC, the #1 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles, have a bye after the win over the New York Giants. They clinched the NFC East.
Hot take: I think the Eagles beat by. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw that out.
That is a good take. I like that.
We will circle back.
#2, the #2 seeded 49ers versus the #7 seeded Seahawks. What do we think? Saturday, January 14th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Brock Purdy is Hemi Neutron.
He's actually pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie.
The best quarterback over the last 5 weeks. Give me the Niners by 40. I mean, it's going to be an absolute.
I don't know about
whooping.
that.
That's a little disrespect to Gino because Gino did not write back to Ryan.
He never
and,
wrote back.
You need to put some respect on his name. All-time Seahawks leading passing yards in one season.
No, he's not.
Russ is. Yes, he
he
broke the record
really?
this past week.
Oh,
yeah, he just set the season record for most passing yards by a Seahawks quarterback this past week.
Wow.
I'm going to make my prediction. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So the line is 10. Over under is 42.5. We're going to take the Niners.
Cover?
Actually, no, we're taking the push and the under.
I'm gonna take Niners to cover in the over.
I'm taking what are we thinking? 27. Fucking that's over.
I got
can't do
I got 35-17.
I was gonna say 27-10, but then that would actually be the over. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Who we go next?
But yeah, I'm gonna go with the 49ers. As Ryan said, Brock Purdy is Hemi Neutron. George Kittle, by the way, if you guys don't know, is gonna become fantasy relevant again because Brock Purdy is an Iowa State quarterback, and they love their tight ends at Iowa State.
Wait, you're assuming he's still gonna start next year? They still got Trey Lance.
No, Trey Lance is a bum. Trey Lance is a bum.
Trade him to the Panthers then. Goddamn.
As an owner of Trey
I think
Lance
Brock.
I agree. He's a fucking bum.
I think Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is going to have a weirdly deep playoff run, and then they're going to be like, whoa.
I agree.
They're going to be like, why is this kid kind of good?
Niners and NFC Championship.
Whoa.
I also think that a literal potato could run the Niners offense.
Yes.
But
Brock
Purdy does look good. Like I'll give him that, but I think
for Robbie winning games at Georgia with all that talent.
But like, think about in terms of the 49ers. Wouldn't you rather, like, you don't need a dynamic quarterback. I'd rather have a game manager with all that talent around him than a guy who's like dynamic and flashy. Like Lamar.
I don't like that take.
I'd rather have a game manager than like a Lamar.
No, you wouldn't.
On the 49ers?
You when you're in the playoffs, yes, you can get so far with a game manager, but at some point during the playoffs, you need a quarterback that can go out and win you a game. And that's why you want a Lamar Jackson.
Not Brock Purdy?
It's
not Brock Purdy? And Trent Dilfer. Yeah, that's a guy.
Yeah, get absolutely shit on.
The number 3 seeded Vikings.
Have you seen his quarterback academy? Clearly, he's a top 10 quarterback all time.
Number 3 Vikings versus the number 6 Giants in the NFC.
Vikings are frauds.
You think that you're taking the Giants?
What's the spread? Ryan, can I get the spread?
Yeah.
Okay, just straight up. Who are we taking?
Looking at the spreads.
We're not picking straight up.
Who's gonna win?
Yeah, Vegas
who's
doesn't
gonna
like
win?
the Vikings either. Vegas got the Vikings at -3 at home.
That's not great.
Oh,
I don't like the
Vegas
minus.
something up. No,
I don't like the -3 line at all because I can see the Vikings winning by 3.
48.5.
I'm gonna take the push and the under.
Vikings cover under. So yeah, I'm taking the Vikings.
Giants win outright.
Oh, he called it. He said it.
Danny Dimes.
Vikings are fraud. Any team that lets the Cowboys hang 50 on them are full of shit. Saquon dangles 3 tutties on Kirk Cousins' forehead. It's a 3:30 game, so it's not primetime Kirk choke. But
you like that? You like that?
Danny Dimes with 2 rushing touchdowns.
That's a good take. I like that take.
I can get behind that.
And finally, in the NFC, the number 4 Buccaneers versus the number 5 Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys win. Cowboys win. I'm saying it. If there's anyone
but Tom Brady, I would take the Cowboys in a heartbeat. But
I was arguing with Will and Jeff about this. They were like, "Who would you rather play, the Packers or the Bucs?" And I said, "The Packers have been on a little bit of a heater in the back half of the season, but I would 100 times out of 100 rather play Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs than Tom Brady. Like, yes. I don't care. I don't care if Tom Brady is 80.
Yes.
Not because it's the Cowboys. The Cowboys cannot beat Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. That is also
true.
Can
they beat Tom Brady?
No, I know. We can't beat either.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're just fucking...
You'd rather have the Carolina Panthers
die. Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Absolutely. So Cowboys rolling in.
One more game, Robbie.
It's a Monday night game. Cowboys favored by 2.5 in Tampa. Lines 45.5.
2.5.
What are we taking?
Oof.
Bucks cover. I think the Bucks won by 1. Brady last second drive. It just has to happen like that.
Of course they would.
What was the over-under?
The Bucks are 4-12-1 against the spread. Pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah.
What was
the over-under?
45.5.
Cowboys cover over.
Bucks over.
Over. I think it definitely hits the over.
I think it's the over too.
I think that's a low line for this game, to be honest. I mean, I know how bad the Cowboys' offense looked, but all right, whatever. Screw that. AFC playoff picture.
Ryan picks.
He did.
Homer. Cowboys over.
Yeah.
Got it.
There it is.
You got to.
Number 1 in the AFC playoff picture. Number 1 Chiefs are obviously against bye this week. I think Chiefs will cover the spread against bye.
I agree.
Yeah. Thanks, Robbie. Yeah, we're gonna take the over on the Chiefs bye.
Overspread them cheeks, if you will.
Okay, You guys might look at me crazy for this one. I think this is going to be a better game than people think. The number 2 Buffalo Bills versus the number 7 Miami Dolphins. I think Tua is going to have the game of his life. I think Tua is going to have the best game of his. Is he playing? Yeah, he's playing, isn't he?
After the whole DeMar Hamlin thing, I don't know if I can pick against the Bills.
I'm not picking against them.
Have that like extra motivation now.
I still think they're going to win, but I think that Tua has like the best game of his life.
Okay. Also, that kickoff return for a touchdown, the first one was definitely orchestrated by the league. It was orchestrated by the league.
Did you see how little effort that kicker gave? That kicker was jogging by the time he got to like the 40-yard line.
Tackle. I'm 100% on that conspiracy theory train.
I agree.
So yeah, Bills and the Dolphins. I don't know if I guess
9.5, 46.5.
No, they don't cover. They don't cover over. Dolphins cover over.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Bills cover under. I think that
just going against the grain.
How good those offenses are, I think that's a trap line.
What's the weather like in Buffalo? That's the real question.
Fucking balmy as it would be in January, you head ass.
Sorry.
Sunday, January, a nice little 12 Central kick, 1 Eastern kick for the Bills and the Dolphins.
Actually, 28, partly cloudy.
Not the worst that
that's
Buffalo.
Pretty good weather for Buffalo.
It's pretty good for Buffalo. So yeah, moving on. The number 3 seeded Bengals versus the number 6 seeded Ravens. Obviously the Bengals actually just beat the Ravens in that last game.
But Lamar is supposed to be back.
I've heard that they may have to use their 3rd string quarterback.
Does the line reflect this? It's a 7.5, and the over/under is 42.
So no, okay.
No, they don't think Lamar's going to play with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take 7.5. I'm gonna take the cover. I'm gonna take Bengals cover under though.
I'm not under 42. I'm gonna take the over. I think the Bengals. What did the Bengals score against them in the last game?
27.
They do that again easily. I take that over.
Well, wait, what was the line again?
42.
They scored 43 combined last game.
Ooh.
Over.
But does Lamar play?
I don't think he does. I don't think he is. I don't think
if he doesn't play, then yeah, the Bengals cover and it's an under.
Yeah. All right, well, we have those. And then the last one in the AFC, the number 4 Jaguars versus the number 5 Chargers.
Who cares?
Sickos game. Like,
if you're looking at all the fucking games on the slate
I like the
this weekend,
okay.
I'd rather watch the Chiefs bye than watch this game.
I'll hold my hands up. You know what I predicted the Super Bowl would be before the season? I said Bucks Chargers. So I got to go with my Chargers. I got to go with the Chargers.
Herbert's schlong out.
What did I say?
No.
I don't remember what I said. It was probably.
I think y'all said Robbie. I feel like you said the Bills and somebody.
Definitely said the Bills.
I can't remember who the NFC team was.
Yeah, so the Chargers favored by 1. Line's
no way.
47.5.
1.
Chargers cover. Chargers cover the over.
Yeah. Hammer the Chargers cover.
Under.
Yeah, I might go under too. I might go under. Trevor Lawrence isn't like that.
It's a trap line.
I think we get a nice shootout in Duval County this weekend.
With the
good old fashioned
shootout.
I think you're out of your mind.
Under.
So yeah.
56 degrees. Kick at 7:15 in Jacksonville.
That'll be
why is that a night game? Gross.
Everyone's gonna be like watching football. They're gonna be like, why? Why is it this one? Just like, eating dinner with your family. You turn on this one. Son of a bitch.
My only concern is it is an East Coast game for the Chargers, which is always a little tough for those West Coast
used to
teams.
it.
That's always a little spooky.
They're a little tired.
Yeah, they are. I'm tired of you. So
hey, put your cat on the screen. He probably provides.
We haven't done the pod in 2 months. You can't be tired of it.
Yeah.
I know you guys spent like all of Christmas together, but no, not a lot.
All of Christmas.
We literally spent 2-3 days.
Hours.
Yeah,
it's a lot. That's a lot of quality time. A lot of brother bonding time.
Not enough, man.
But we were bonding.
Hey man.
Okay. All right. But yeah, that's it for the playoffs. I will compile that our picks into an Instagram post, and I'll post that tomorrow as I start to promote our podcast again. Sorry, what?
We appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. And then what?
Make sure you comment below the post like who you're running with. See, like if you're gonna fade Robbie, make sure you fade Robbie because
it's gonna be me. He's
not gonna win you any money.
And then the last NFL headline. This is something that happened probably like a month ago at this point, but I just wanted to mention it real quick. J.J. Watt is officially retiring from the NFL. So I just wanted to give props to the man who's obviously a legend, one of the best defensive linemen
First ballot
ever. Yeah,
First
definitely
ballot.
first ballot Hall of Famer.
I was kicking myself for not taking J.J. Watt over half a sack in his very last game. That was a lock.
Come on, yeah,
It's an
come on
absolute
now.
lock.
I was texting Robbie all weekend bitching about how I didn't take any of the unders that were happening in week 18.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a fucking stupid on me. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Stupid
continue.
But yeah, J.J. Watt, obviously one of the best defensive linemen of all time. One of the first guys I really saw ever be utilized on offense, who really specialized in defense. I remember him in Houston being utilized as an end on those offensive sets. So yeah, obviously, as Ryan said, an all-time career for the man, and I wish him all the best in retirement.
He was Matt Schwab's best target outside of Andre Johnson.
On God.
Matt Schwab. That's it.
That's a name.
Thought about a really long time. Yeah.
Is he the
I
Texans'
think
leading
Bailey.
pass? I think he's the Texans' leading passer in terms of pass yards all time.
Probably. Yes. Him and Andre Johnson absolutely out there tearing it up.
Yeah.
I think about Schwab daily.
No, you don't. That's just a lie.
Ryan has a Matt Schwab picture on his wall. It's really weird. I don't really know why.
Okay, but I think it's
about
Shaw.
the Andre Johnson, Cortland Finnegan fight. I think about that one actually.
Nah, that's a
daily.
good one.
You remember the quote from Nugo, Ryan, where Schmidt's like, on average, Americans think about Abraham Lincoln once per day. And Nick's like, where the hell did you get that stat?
Great
It just
show.
sounded like that. But yeah, so and then another thing that happened a while ago, but something that I feel like we are obligated to mention on the pod: Argentina wins the World Cup. Lionel Messi
Oh my
with his
god,
first
we
World
haven't
Cup
had
win.
a fucking podcast.
Hey,
since the
I
World
cannot
Cup.
believe we didn't have any pause during
No,
the
I
World
know.
Cup because it was a great World Cup.
Dude,
Like a
that's-
lot of awesome
What North
stories.
American podcast? That's
And
disgusting.
It's not even me
behavior of us.
saying this. Obviously, just not watching much soccer, but listening because I watch a lot of UK YouTubers and listening to a lot of them. A ton of them say this was the best soccer game of like all time. Until like the 70th minute, until the 70th minute it was kind of boring. But then you do the Mbappe penalty, Mbappe with a hat trick. And he was carrying the whole country of France on his back.
The whole
entire
knockout
game.
stages were just insane.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so many
100%.
PKs. Like it was just insane.
I was so happy France lost.
Oh, I was rooting, bro. And then like I even know people who are like Ronaldo, were Ronaldo fans. They're like, yeah, Messi's the GOAT. Like the World Cup winner. I feel like you have to if you win the World Cup, and especially he scored twice. He scored no.
Yes.
Yeah, he scored twice, didn't he? And then he
I know he had a PK at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, shout out Morocco, first African nation ever to make it to the
was
semifinals of the World Cup. That was awesome.
Little Cinderella.
Did you guys see all of the U.S. soccer drama afterwards?
Yeah, with
the coach got fired, or wasn't that
so Berhalter's contract ran out at like the beginning of the year or whatever. But there was like a report released that him and his wife got in like a domestic violence incident like 1992, like a really long time ago. Like it had never come out. Really weird thing. Like this is a weird thing to be leaked.
Yeah.
It turns out it was leaked by Gio Reyna's parents. Gio Reyna is a player on the U.S. soccer team. It was a big thing that he didn't get to play that much. He got kind of like in trouble at the World Cup and he didn't get to play as much in the World Cup. And his parents leaked the information about Berhalter because they didn't want him coming back as the U.S. coach.
That's actually insane.
And the crazy thing
like
is, so
defamation?
Berhalter and Reyna's father played together on the U.S. men's national team, and their mothers played together Berhalter's wife and Gio Reyna's mother played together on the North Carolina women's soccer team back in the day.
Actually
too.
insane.
So they're all like really good friends, and they like released this stuff just to make sure he didn't come back as the U.S. soccer coach.
Isn't that defamation? Wouldn't he be able to sue? For
It was
defamation.
I know it was true. It was true. Like it did happen. Like Berhalter said, like it was bad.
Years ago.
I know.
It's a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, still, you still do something. It's gonna go. I mean, this day and age, it's gonna come back to bite you. Like that's just how it is.
How would they not know that when they put him as the manager?
I'm sure they did.
They probably did.
I think they're gonna let his contract expire anyways. Like usually, you don't bring back your coach for like 2 World Cup cycles. That's not like a normal thing you do. So I think that's gonna happen anyways. But it's just the fact that there's like the backstabbing and all that. Like bad look for U.S. soccer. Really bad look.
Yeah, we can't really take those, but here we are.
No. So yeah, advancing on with the Robbie. I know it's been a long time since you've been updated on your Brentford Bees, so I'm gonna.
I've not been keeping up. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
I'm gonna give you the Premier League. I'll just give you the top 5 right now, and then obviously I'll give you Brentford. Number 1 is Arsenal, 14-2-1. Arsenal has been atop the league pretty much the entire season, which is pretty incredible.
No Gunners. Fuck Man City.
Don't forget that LeBron James is a partial owner in Arsenal as well. So
that is true.
shout out LeBron.
Man City at 12-3-2, Newcastle at 9-8-1, and then Man United 11-2-4. Obviously have more wins than Newcastle, but Newcastle has 8 draws, which is a lot. Brentford sits at number 9. They used to be 10, Robbie, so they're going up. They're
baby. We're in safe out of the relegation zone, and that's you got to build a program. You got to stay up there and build a program.
8 draws.
Shit enough.
Yeah. Also 8 draws. They're funnily enough, Robbie, you want to hear something? They're above Chelsea. Chelsea's at 10.
Let's go.
And Brentford's
Chelsea's
at 9.
trash.
Yeah.
Get mocked.
In the relegation, Everton is currently 18, 3-6-9. Wolves is 3-5-10 at 19, and then Southampton is at number 20, 3-3-12. 12 losses.
Not great.
Right? That is not
really
not good at all. Those are the standings for the Premier League as it stands of January 10th, 2023. We are now going to be looking at the NBA and some of the NBA standings and news from around the league. Number 1, obviously they kind of been on a heater all season. The Boston Celtics are at 29-12 atop the Eastern Conference. On atop the Western Conference is the Denver Nuggets at 27-13. At this point in the season, nothing's looking too out of place. I will say that the Kings are at number 5 in the Western Conference, 21-18, and that is definitely a shocker as of right now. But kind of everything else looks in place, maybe apart from the Cavs. But obviously, we have to mention Donovan Mitchell, a 71-point performance, the most points scored in an NBA game since Kobe Bryant had his 81
Luka.
points.
The
60,
we didn't even
21,
mention
and
the
10.
Luka 60-point triple-double,
And we want in overtime. We want into overtime because the Mavs.
We're losing the Clippers right now.
The Hornets are in for the race for Wemby. We're in. We're I think a half game out of last place right now.
11-31, good showing so far for that.
I got to see a barn burner between the
Wembanyama.
Charlotte Hornets and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, I forgot
a couple
you went
weeks
to
ago.
that.
Electric Hornets won, easy dub. It was.
Shea
Did you
didn't show
coin
up?
on that one?
I did. I bet the Hornets money line 100%, and it hit. So check me out.
Love that.
It was just an electric atmosphere in the high for the game too. Just a really good time all around. Go Hornets.
Nice. Well, there you go. Yeah. As Robbie mentioned, the Hornets are currently 11-31 in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. But the Rockets and Pistons are right there with them. The Pistons at 11-33 and the Rockets at 10-30.
I got money on the Rockets hitting that. They know how to tank like some motherfuckers.
Yeah, they do.
They're
used to it.
Pros.
They are used to it. But yeah, everything else looks kind of relatively normal in place. Kind of the teams that you would expect to be bad are bad, and the teams you expect to be good are good. Like I said, the biggest surprise at the moment is definitely the Sacramento Kings. So we'll keep you updated as the season goes along. Continuing on,
if the season ended today, the Mavs would play the Kings. I'm here for that.
No, 100%.
But also playing in Sacramento would be kind of spooky because those fans have been absolute batshit at all the games because they haven't had a good team in years.
No, it's like the Mariners. I mean, obviously the Astros kind of destroyed them. But it's the same thing. It's like you're rabid for just something. I
am rabid for just something.
What does that mean? Ryan, what does that mean?
Yeah, okay, elaborate.
Could we get the next segment, please?
Yeah. So the next headline, the Suns president Jason Riley denies allegation, vows to never quit on his team. This headline follows as such from ABC Sports. Phoenix Suns president and CEO Jason Riley told a group of team employees at a recent story placing him at the center of allegations of verbal abuse, retaliation, and intimidation in the workplace misrepresented him and that he would not be resigning from his role. Multiple current employees told ESPN. He made his remarks on December 19th, the day ESPN published a story on allegations of Suns misconduct extending beyond Robert Sarver during a meeting in the Suns arena with team employees and management positions, the sources said. So obviously more organizational issues in the Phoenix Suns. I don't really know if this was even even last year. I don't remember the Suns being at the center of any sort of this controversy. Obviously the stuff about Sarver was being kept very quiet. But it just seems that everything's kind of coming out at the same time. But I guess he said that he fully denies these allegations. Maybe some people might be grouping him in with what Sarver was saying. In other news, Kevin Durant has sprained his MCL and it looks like he will be out for about a month.
That MCL's got to be like a foot long.
Yeah.
I love how y'all. I could tell that y'all was thinking the same exact thing. Yeah.
No, Connor, I have to tell you a story. I haven't told you my Kevin Durant story yet.
It's a great story.
You have a Kevin Durant story?
I'm going to be late for work. This is excellent.
So I was in Chicago last weekend, out with some coworkers. We were out. We hit the club, and the Nets played the Bulls in Milwaukee, or played the Bulls in Chicago that night. And we're out of the club and like we're hanging out doing whatever. I was like, started talking to this guy. I was like, dude, like the Wizards are here. Like Bradley Beal is right over there because the Wizards had played in Milwaukee that night. I was like, why would they be down here? He's like, oh, they come down here like party in Chicago because like, what are you gonna do in Milwaukee?
True.
I'm like, nah, dude, like you're full of it. Like, there's no way like an NBA player's at this random club in Chicago right now. Like it was not like a big club. It was very small. Like, there's just no way. Then all of a sudden, this guy walks by and tall ass dude. I'm like, damn, that dude's tall. It's fucking Kevin Durant. I swear to Christ, it's Kevin Durant walking through. I'm like, I tell this guy, like, I'm so sorry that I doubted you. Like, I'm so sorry that I doubted you. Because he walks through and you just see everyone stop and turn. Everyone's like, that's Katie. And then there's a bouncer that looked like Fetty Wap who wouldn't let me get close to Katie, even though I was just trying to talk to my friend. But he kept saying I got too close, and he was really not a fan of me. He really did not like me. He said, me and my friends have been doing weird shit all night. I don't know what that means.
Were you inebriated by any chance?
No.
Not at all?
Definitely
not even a little bit?
I definitely didn't get texts in the middle of the night from him, no.
But yeah, so I was in the club with Kevin Durant last week.
So basically you and Kevin Durant are best friends is what I'm hearing.
I mean, he was from me to my computer screen right now. Like, he walked right by me, so we're basically boys.
You sniff him? I mean, did you sniff him?
He's never going to do an interview with us, guys.
I tried to ask him to get on the pod.
Yeah, he said no. God.
Yeah, Fetty Wap is keeping me away, so I couldn't get close enough to ask him to come on the pod.
I love that.
Very cool. Well, very nice. I mean, I wish you would have, been his friend, but God.
One of my coworkers was trying to get a picture with him. Like, our Uber got there before she could get to the front of the line to get a picture. He had a whole line of people trying to get pictures with him. So.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on from that's very cool, Robbie. Moving on from the NBA, just one MLB headline we got to cover real quick. Carlos Correa and the Twins have agreed to a 6-year, $200 million contract. Apparently, he was supposed to go to the Mets, but there was injury concerns, and so the Mets just took too long. And he said, "Oh, the time's up," and so he just decided to sign with the Twins instead.
He was also supposed to go to the Giants before he was supposed to go to the Mets.
So there seems to be a pattern here. So I'm confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of sports, that is all I have for right now. We are going to do a tier list, however, and the tier list is going to be national championships. Basically, the quality of the game, national championships from 2010 to this year, 2023, obviously in honor of the recent national championship game. All right, we have it pulled up now, and now, like I said, we're going to do from 2010 onwards. So the 2010 national championship game was the Texas Longhorns versus the Alabama Crimson Tide, a 37-21 win for Nick Saban.
Connor, you're off by a year. That's the 2009. I know it was played in 2010.
It's Auburn.
It's Auburn and Oregon.
No. Was the finale?
Oh no, you do have the logo in there for 2000. Okay,
never mind,
right.
That's 2010. So you remember you have to advance it every year because it happens in January.
Yeah, whatever. Continue.
So 2010 BCS National Championship, Alabama 37-21 win over the Texas Longhorns. So what do we think?
The first half was competitive, damn near a nail biter. The Colt went out, and then there was just that just kind of got away. The second half, I don't remember being fun.
It's an important game. It's a historical game. Nick Saban's Alabama team announcing themselves as Alabama's
we are here.
Yep. But I think the game was average when Colt McCoy went out. It was no longer much of a game.
Yeah. So what do we want to say? Kind of like competitive to the end for the most part, except for when he came out average.
I don't think it was.
I think it was a very average game.
All right, average game it is. The 2011 or 2010, however you want to. The end of the 2010 season, BCS Bowl game, the Auburn Tigers over the Oregon Ducks, 22-19. What do we think?
They'll play nail biter to the end.
Yeah,
that was a Cam Newton game. I was telling Connor the one thing I remember from this game is the Oregon running back. It was Michael James, and he was running and like he got tackled and like rolled over someone and then stayed on his feet. And they initially called him down and went back and reviewed it. And then they got some big play out of it, which is how Oregon went up. But then I think Auburn went back down the field and scored, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I could be completely wrong, but that's
I
what I remember.
think you're onto that. I think you're onto
that. There you go. So
the game that every Oklahoma State fan has been upset about for more than a decade, the 2012 and the 2011 season national championship game, Alabama Crimson Tide 21 over the LSU Tigers. Nothing. So yeah, what do we think?
L
of
a football game. Yeah,
L was an L
because of that. Like, and obviously the regular season game wasn't like super like fireworks, right? They weren't crazy, but it was 9-6, right? So like. It was stressful to the end, but this one, it was just all Daddy Saban.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State lost to Iowa State. Terrible
It
Saints.
hurt.
And then they said we'll do it again.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's break those dreams again. Yeah, at least they won the Big 12 championship that year. 2013 national championship game, the end of the 2012 season. Nick Saban once again winning a 42-14 victory over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Outside of this Georgia game this past week, the worst national championship game I've ever watched in my life.
Ass whooping.
Just awful.
Is it on the same tier? Is it on the same tier?
No, it's not. It's not as bad, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it was like, remember Manti Te'o's whole thing came out like right beforehand too. That was pretty funny.
God, I cannot believe we had a national championship presented by Vizio. Who signed off on that shit?
The Rose Bowl was like sponsored by Vizio for years. Yeah.
So, the last national championship that doesn't involve a college football playoff of the 2014 and of the 2013 season, 2014 national championship game, the Auburn Tigers losing in a close one to the Florida State Seminoles, 34-31.
The Jameis
year. One of the Jameis. Yeah.
I don't remember much about this game, to be completely honest.
I feel it was really good.
Other than that Jameis was in it.
Yeah.
It was close. It was a close game, right? Yeah. I would say average because I don't remember a whole lot of it.
I'd say competitive to the end given that score. But yeah, since we don't remember it, probably not. We couldn't put it top tier. But yeah, so the first one in the CFP era, the Ohio State Buckeyes beating the Oregon Ducks, and I believe Marcus Mariota, 2015 championship, the end of the 2014 season, Ohio State winning 42-20 over Oregon.
It was when Ohio State beat Bama with Cardale Jones in the first round.
This game was not as close as that final score is representing. It was Ohio State the entire time.
Did Mariota play the whole game? Was he like banged up or something, or did they just actually just get stomped?
I think
they just got stomped. Yeah. The MVP, offensive MVP was Zeke. I forgot Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, was there at that time.
I remember he broke off a stupid long run.
Yep. I wish he was like that nowadays. But yeah, Ohio State winning over Oregon there. We have the 2016 championship, the end of the 2015 season. Alabama beating Clemson 45-40.
Banger.
Yeah.
No, that was the OJ Howard game where like all of a sudden like OJ Howard went for like 3 tutties and like had caught like 3 passes all year or something ridiculous like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good not even biased. I just think it was like probably the best game that we've come through so far.
The next year I think was also with the pick play with Renfro at the end.
Yep, 100%. That was our freshman year. Pain.
We're running it back. 2017, the end of the 2016 season. Clemson Tigers 35 over the Alabama Crimson Tide 31.
Yeah, also a banger. They scored on basically the last play of the game with the Renfro pick play. It was offensive pass interference.
Yes.
But it was a very good game.
Cope Harder?
I'm seething.
Definitely not a homer.
Moving on to 2018, the Alabama Crimson Tide over the Georgia Bulldogs 26-23.
I mean,
the only overtime game, national championship game in the CFP era, and the most iconic Georgia,
national championship play outside of maybe Vince Young against USC. I mean, it's got to be those two in the in the 2000s, right? I mean,
second and 26.
Yeah.
Well, I threw a big ball through a projector.
That did happen. It was
that was the one with he put 2 in, right? After the
yes,
yeah.
He threw it to Devontae Smith. That was like the first time Devontae Smith's name was really like called out.
Classic.
Yeah, Ryan. Right, our Snapchat memories from that came up like 2 days ago because it was the I think 5th year anniversary.
Pain, happier time. I wasn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have to be at work in 50 minutes.
We got to run out from the bar right onto the strip and party in the street. It was a lot of fun.
Moving on to 2019, Clemson putting the hammer down on Alabama 44-16. This was not a great rematch.
It was
this was an hell of a game.
Close.
It was an hell of a game. But yeah, moving on. So 2020 or the end of the 2019 season, I don't even remember this game. LSU over Clemson 42-25. Why do I not remember that game?
The Burrow game.
Burrow. Yeah, Burrow.
Yeah,
Burrow and that crew just running through everyone.
It was average. I think it was slightly better
agreed.
than L, but it
wasn't as bad as that game against Oklahoma where they like went up like 35-0 on Oklahoma in the semifinal game.
It's like the problem was you couldn't expect more though because that LSU team was one of the best college football teams of all time. Like that offense was like the best offense of all time.
Yeah,
like,
they're playing Trevor Lawrence on Clemson. Like that's a good team, and they just
it didn't matter.
There's no chance.
No one was stopping LSU.
No. So yeah, 2021, the end of the 2020 season, Alabama beating the Ohio State Buckeyes 52-24.
As an Alabama fan, I don't even remember much of this game. Like I wasn't that drunk. Like it was just not a very good football game.
It was also probably because COVID and like nobody remembered any.
Yeah.
Just nobody knew
Yeah,
what was
this is
going on. So what L? Is that an L? You think that's an L?
Yeah,
L.
I think it's an L.
All right. And then 2022, the Georgia Bulldogs over the Alabama Crimson Tide, 33-18. What do we think?
Average. I mean, Georgia was in control. I felt the entire game.
Mm-hmm. But we were in it until we threw that last pick six.
Yeah.
Like it was still a game. Then we threw a pick six, like on the last drive to try to tie it up, and then it got out of hand. Obviously,
So yeah,
so I'd say competitive. I'd say average.
average. So yeah, and then obviously the last one, the most recent one, Georgia Bulldogs 65 over the TCU Horned Frogs.
Competitive to the end.
They really battled out there, man. I really felt like they were there.
If you stop the game with 5 minutes left in the first quarter, competitive till the end for sure.
We have
Georgia
our
had as many touchdowns as TCU had first downs.
Good lord, that's not a stat. That can't be real.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god almighty,
It is.
man.
And
That's
TCU as
so
many
sad.
first downs as Georgia had players with rushing attempts.
Dude, that's so depressing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
It feels bad. But yeah, so though that is our tier list, and that is pretty much all the podcast I had for the day. Anything else that you gents want to say?
That's all I got. It's
back.
good being back, seeing your smiling faces. Connor, you're looking kind of creepy, but we'll do what we can.
For myself, Ryan, and Connor, thanks for tuning back in with us. We will be on much more upcoming here in the next couple months, but enjoy the beginning of your year. I hope it's a good one for us all, and please gamble responsibly.
Adios.